Let's listen to Josh McDaniels from earlier in the week talking about the Raiders quarterback's recent struggles, and then we'll share some thoughts on the other side.
I mean, look, that's not good enough. You know what I mean? And for us to be able to win at this time of the year and be productive offensively, you have to throw the ball, better than what we've thrown it at times here in the last month and a half. We've been able to win some in spite of that, overall, but clearly that's not the goal. The goal would be to be more productive than what we've been.
Could be a possibility that maybe you turn to.
I think there's a possibility that we would do the right thing regardless of the position. You know what I mean? Just in terms of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in terms of the $40.4 million in injury guarantees that Derek Carr has that vest just days after the Super Bowl. They've got a narrow window right after the Super Bowl when the waiver period opens for 2023 to cut Derek Carr. Now, it's considered bad form to do it. When you have guarantees that fully vest in the days after the start of the waiver period, that has always been about managing the whole funding rule and not having to put money into escrow, et cetera, et cetera. That's always regarded as a signal we're keeping the guy. It's when the trigger comes after the start of the league year, that's, okay, we have a fair opportunity and a proper opportunity to cut him if we choose to. I think they're thinking, just the way that McDaniels answered that question, they're thinking about putting Derek Carr in bubble wrap for Jarrett Stidham so they know he's healthy, so they can cut him if they choose to after the Super Bowl. That's what's best for the organization if they decide they're moving on. And people said, they would trade him. You can't trade him because by the time you can trade him, the guarantees are going to vest. You would have to have a pretty complicated deal where you really trust that next team to follow through. Otherwise, you're on the hook for the $40.4 million in guarantees, and you're stuck with Derek Carr, and you're really taking a leap of faith with that much money that becomes fully guaranteed. I think it's hard to trade him. The question is, are they going to cut him? And the way that question was answered, Chris, that tells me it's a consideration right now for the Raiders.
I would agree with you there, Mike, that it's on the radar. Those are pretty strong comments from a guy like Josh McDaniels, who usually he's the New England way. They don't want to make quarterback controversy. They want to frame the team around the quarterback and make him the general. We know this is a guy that's, a pretty strong leader within that locker room. The guys do like him. So to make those comments, I think at the very least he's like, putting Derek Carr on blast or giving him a warning a little bit that things got to be better. And I think that's enough is shocking because Josh McDaniels is just not the type of coach to go that and go blame the quarterback type of conversation. He's going to go, wait, we've got issues with the team first and all of that. But I think here as of late, I think, it's Derek Carr, just kind of when we thought maybe he was getting a hold of the offense, it's gotten worse here as of late. And, it's staying on reads too long and not getting off them. It's right here, not being able to maybe throw the appropriate ball or let the guy get his head around in time. There's just been a lot of issues within the passing game. And again, like I've said, it's not easy system as far as the changing of language and rules compared to what he was in, but there's too much of this lately. He's too good to be throwing balls off target, missing guys, holding the ball, staring at receivers. There's just been, a little bit of a step back within the offense, it seems like, with Derek Carr that I think is concerning some of those coaches out there.
3 interceptions against the Steelers on Christmas Eve. And remember when they traded for Davante Adams, we just assumed they're making the long-term commitment to Derek Carr. This is the arrangement those two have been looking for, and now they finally have it. And then they give Carr his new contract. And, of course, the crowd that it's Christmas week. There are folks who will just blindly pass along whatever they're told. $40.4 million and all these guarantees, and it's $40.5 million a year, and it's this great contract. And when you finally get the document, you look at it, it's like it's a 1-year deal for $27 million, and the Raiders can get out of it after that. And nobody wanted to say that at the time because they went out and got Davante Adams. No, why? Don't rain on this guy's great contract. Celebrate his great contract. Okay, fine. They're going to rip it up. Or at least they're thinking about ripping it up after 1 year and doing exactly what the contract gives them the power to do. That's the thing about contracts. It gives people power. And the Raiders may take full advantage of their power to rip it up and move on from Derek Carr. And that would be something. And I saw someone suggest on Twitter that maybe Carr would just retire because he said all along, I only ever want to play for the Raiders. That really would be a question, Chris. Is there another team out there that could entice Derek Carr? That's a conversation for another day, but that would have to be part of it for him to continue to play. He'd have to feel like he could go somewhere and thrive. And he would have extra incentive to do it because he'd want to stick it to the Raiders at that point.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, he's still at a point of his career where he's got a lot of good football left. I mean, I don't think his physical skills are diminishing, by any stretch of the imagination right now. I think he's a guy that, worked hard to get indoctrinated into the John Gruden West Coast type of offense. He got there, and here he is. He's been throwing another curveball. He's had a problem adjusting to it, adjusting to the offense, the language, what's expected out of the type of throws a little bit. There's just it's a different offense altogether, and I think it isn't a tough adjustment. And I thought he was getting a hold of things. It's just kind of shocking to see things go, the wrong direction here as of late. And too many plays where, just like the interception we saw at the end of that last clip with Runner Renfro's open down the middle. He's got him right on that play. He moves up in the pocket the other night against the Steelers. And it just throws a bad ball that floats in the air and it's not accurate and it throws it outside. It's just been a little too much of that. And I'm betting that's frustrating Josh McDaniels and that coaching staff.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.